This is KeNneth Bach, motivational speaker. Let me inspire you to be advertising you. Let's walk through life together. I just want to bring you a little update on some things that happened to me in the last year and a half, 2 years, and it's finally over. And things are cleaned up. Some of you may know I had a little incident behind my store last year on March 23rd, and it's over. I'm not guilty, and so it's time to move on. And if you want to know any more about that, you can ask me and I'll tell you. But anyway, we have to learn to focus on our future, but also focus on the things that are on hand, what's happening in your life at the moment. And I want to talk about that because I've had to clean up a few things. You know, I saved a foreclosure on my house. My attorney didn't believe it. I saved what happened on March 23rd of last year with the help of 3 attorneys. I call them my team of 3. But they helped clean up some things and help me to understand the way the system works a little better. Mainly what I want to say is, those of you who are following me now and maybe in the future and will see this, is you need to put your foot on the ground, your feet, and find someone that can be your mentor in a good way, okay? Because there's good and bad mentors, all right? Just like there's cool and let's see if that's not even in the picture. There it is, that old truck. There's good and old vehicles. That means when they made them, maybe they shouldn't even produce them, because there were certain cars that were considered problem cars from the beginning. One of them was the Ford Edsel. I used to sell cars, so I'm just giving you a little history on this. And Henry Ford's son is what came up with the name of the car, and I believe he approved the design, and it was a complete failure. But believe it or not, the cars are worth a lot of money today because they didn't make a lot of them. So, see, sometimes your failures can be your successes if you ride out the wave, okay? Just like we used to get into surfing and body surfing and on the board and everything, but body surfing was one of my favorites because you're in the water, not on top of the water, and you're riding that wave and you can feel that water making you come to the beach. But if the waves are too big, I don't know about you, but if you get on the top of that wave and you hit that sandbar, and I've had to take the skin right off my nose, okay? And I've been doing it for years. But the thing is, I still get out there and enjoy that, so you don't give up. It's just like when you were little, the first time you could, I mentioned this to my family the other day, and I've been talking about this, the first time you could look over a table, I want you to think back. You can even pause this if you like. But think back when you could look over something and you could see over the table. And you're like, wow, there's a lot of cool things on that table. I'm talking about when you were a little kid. So now look at it as an adult. We have positive days, negative days, but the thing is to take that negative day and turn it into a positive day. Or that positive day that could run into those negatives is to iron them out. Because problems are only to be solved. There's a few things I like to say, and I've said them in the past. Every problem contains within itself the seeds to its own solution. Let me say that again. Every problem contains within itself the seeds to its own solution. Okay? So I said it boldly like that, and I said it twice because I want you to write that down, and I want you to make that part of your future thoughts. Okay? So when you get frustrated and you have that moment where you're like, geez, I can't figure this out. Or I can't work this out. What I like to do is put it down, okay? Put it down for a while, walk away, come back and work on it again, okay? Or just like on the internet now, I'm starting to sell products now. For years I didn't sell products. I just gave away my free advertising. I advertise for others for free. But I'm growing my sites, all my sites. I've got quite a few sites out there. You can find me on Pinterest, The Rooster, KeNneth Bach, The Rooster. You can find me on Facebook, KeNneth Bach, Average Man, KeNneth Bach, Motivational Speaker. You can find me globalwholesaledaytona.wordpress.com. I'm just throwing some of them out there, but you can find me out there, okay? You know why? Because I learned how to put myself out there. I paid money to companies to teach me how to do things, okay? And you're never too old to learn how to do something. How's that? You're never. I don't care if you're 90 years old. The ones that are 90 are still learning, and it's still, some of them amaze me. Some of these old people, I heard one the other day, it was on a video or something, you might have seen it, but they asked her, how do you do it? And she says, you got to quit worrying about the problems. Maybe that's not the exact words, but quit worrying about that and enjoy each day and be happy that you woke up. Then that's the way I look at it. I'm going into a new phase of my life. I want to get involved with someone again, and I want to work on my properties, and I'm going to create those to where they're going to become, some of my properties are going to become campsites. So you'll be able to, you can camp on my property, all right? My properties that are around the country, I want to say. I didn't say I had a lot of them, but I have a few. And I want to accumulate more, but I also want to go to more places without obligations, okay? And this is what I'm trying to say is, don't tie yourself down too short where you can't get out and do nothing. Because, for instance, the last couple of years, because of all the things I had going on, I was afraid to leave the state because I didn't want to get in trouble, okay? Meaning I wanted to maintain my innocence the whole way through, okay? So with that in mind, don't cut yourself short in life, meaning don't get too many problems brought on yourself that you just lay down and say, I can't do none of it, okay? I try to make it simple. Go out of your house with 3 goals in mind, 2 immediate goals and 1 long-term goal, okay? Keep it simple, stupid. I like to say it. Keep it simple, stupid. Learned that from Zig Ziglar. And I give him credit for that because I learned from some of the greatest in my 20s, okay? And see what, and this is why I mentioned about mentors and get a mentor. You have to find people that inspire you in the right direction. But don't get me wrong, you can find people that can inspire you and go in the wrong direction and become one of the biggest drug dealers in the state or in the world, okay? So why go that route when you can spend the same amount of time focusing on your future, planning good things, and become a good person in this world of strife and sorrow. And find out ways to help others be successful on the way up, okay? That's the key. So I'm going to keep this short and say either become a mentor or find a mentor that you can help guide you towards your dreams, okay? I took a moment to pause there for a minute because I wanted you to say, wait, what, he doesn't know what he's going to say? See, I don't have nothing written down in front of me. I talk from my heart. I talk from my past. I talk from my skills that I've learned, my talents that I developed, and skills that I developed. So I look back on those to enforce what I want to say. And I always say, think before you speak. Now, there's moments I still have times when I say, you get what I'm saying? Okay. But don't worry about those. Don't let people hurt you with your imperfections, okay? Let them help you with your talents and develop them so you can become one of the great ones in this world. And let's specify greatness, okay? Greatness is not getting an award for something you didn't do, okay? Greatness is not something that because you woke up this morning, okay? But greatness you can find in your heart when you have empathy and sympathy for someone when you care about people, when you help others focus on their dreams, you become a greater person, okay? Because if you go to the top by yourself, it's very lonely up there by yourself. But if you take a crowd of people, see my fingers, a crowd of people with you to the top, you have a lot of people to tell the story to. And they believe you because they were there with you, okay? Because sometimes you can tell a story. See, I'm a storyteller. I try to tell true stories. Like I say, I don't like to speak no bullshit, okay? And you only hear me say one cuss word in this video, and that's it, because bulls really do shit, okay? And some of the things I might sound a little repetitious about, because life is a little repetitious, because you do wake up every day, and you do get a chance to go after your goals, or you get a chance to get challenged and defeated and find out if you can flip it and solve those problems, okay? And become successful. Successful people are not born that way. They develop those skills over time. And for instance, I say, if you went to work for McDonald's, don't be ashamed of that, okay? Because you learn a lot of skills about the restaurant business. And believe it or not, you might be able to be an owner one day if you think that way. I say become a dreamer while you're at McDonald's, and you can dream about owning different ones, or become part of the chain, or developing your own McDonald's on the side in your mind, okay? And what I mean by that is learn everything you can about the business, and then you can save your money, get involved in the retirement fund and everything, and either buy into the franchise or create your own. I like to create things. I created a convenience store. It's been over, next year it'll be 15 years, because next year it'll be over. All right, I leased it to them the first year, and I had somebody invest $100,000 inside of my building and create this convenience store that when you walk in, it looks like a 7-Eleven, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. It's in the middle of an area of town that's being redeveloped, and I want to say I see a lot of potential for that area, okay? Some people go in that area and say, geez, I don't want to go in this area. It's too dangerous. Well, I look at it as kind of like when a baseball player goes to the field, he's going to practice baseball. Well, when I go to near my convenience store, where I also own some other properties, I look at it as, what can I do to help this area become better and improve it looking wise, okay? For instance, I like to plant trees. I like to raise the skirts on trees. I like to develop what's there. If there's an old oak tree, just clean up the dead limbs. Don't mess with the tree. You get what I'm saying? Like, I learned this from one of my friends that they bought $1 million properties, is that you purchase the property, do all your due diligence, all that stuff, beforehand before you purchase it. But don't touch the property for at least, if you can, that is, unless you're, going to renovate it instantly, and you have a plan already. But still, try to preserve as much as you can and keep your expenses as low as you can, but be creative with what you have already. And yet, because the thing is, the more you put into it money-wise, hey, if you go to sell it, you got to get that back out of it. And you might not ever get it out of it if you sold it right away. You might have overspent, okay, for that area. For instance, I talked to a gentleman one time. He lived in $1 million house on this side of the street, and across the street there was a $350,000 house. And this guy, here's the one I was talking to. He goes, Ken, who do you think has the better view? When I look out my window, I see a $350,000 house. When this guy looks out his window, he sees my $1 million house on the water. So he's actually got the better view. Excuse me, for living. I'm saying on that angle, okay? But this guy has, and also maybe he invested too much spent too much money on this house, to be on the river when this guy can see the river and yet don't have the snakes coming up in his backyard from the river? You get what I'm saying? Or from the ocean or whatever. I'm just saying he might have, and if there's any kind of flood, he might be the guy that don't get flooded, and he does. So there's all types of things scenarios you can make up about that. But what I'm saying is don't overdo it. Okay? I didn't say not to have nice things. I didn't say not to grow as you get older and develop your skills. But I like some of my properties I've had over 10 years, and I enjoy it because I go back there and work on that property. And I was on one of my properties the other night. I raised the skirts, cut the grass because I haven't been out there in a year and a half doing anything because I just lost interest because of what happened to me. But it was still there, and I still paid my taxes. See, as long as you pay your taxes, you're good to go. Nobody can take the property from you. Now, be careful, because there's people out there that might try to, but you got to keep up to date with what you got going on. Check into it. Make sure nobody's messing with you. Okay? But let's continue. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is I'm here today, and I say let's walk through life together. Get a mentor. Someone. I would love to be your mentor. You know, don't call me every 5 minutes and ask me for something, but let me see if I can help you in any way. And don't worry about where you came from, okay? Each of us has a different journey or a different pathway that we walk down, okay? Not all of us graduated high school at first, okay? But I like to say when I was 35, I went in there, took my GED, and passed it without even studying, okay? Because I learned the ways of life, and I did a lot of reading and practicing, and I learned some good skills. But my mom died when I was 12, some of you know. I was 11, excuse me. And our lives changed. So the last 3 kids didn't have the same opportunity as others. So what I want to say to you, if you want to be successful, don't worry about where you came from. Always look back.